Coming from the Times of Israel, strong shekel makes Israeli tech workers pricier than their U.S. counterparts. So I think this is an interesting story when we talk about macro forces basically affecting your career and how you can try to fight the macro forces, but that's probably not going to end very well. So what is going on right now with Israel is I cannot tell you why, but apparently the value of the shekel is going up compared to the dollar. And so a lot of technology companies in Israel are having the problem where their customers are paying them in US dollars, but then they're having to pay for all of their resources, their employees, their facilities, all of those types of things in shekels. And so now all of a sudden, the math simply fundamentally doesn't math anymore. And a big issue with this is that the Israeli tax base is heavily reliant on the Israeli tech sector. Apparently, the tech sector makes up about 11% of their economy, but pays in 30% of their taxes. So all of a sudden, the tech sector is no longer viable in the way that it was not too long ago. And so that brings a lot of questions about how they're going to pay for the resources that they need for, their wars that they're going through, plus all of the civilian infrastructure and everything else. And so I kind of think this is an interesting thing to take a look at and think about how the world can shift relatively quickly. One of the ideas for American programmers is that we were the expensive ones, right? You go to other countries to get inexpensive programmers, but then for whatever reason, when you go to hire American programmers, if you decide to, the idea is that you're going to be paying a premium. And so what's kind of interesting to see right now with Israel is apparently at this point in time, American programmers now cost less than Israeli programmers. And so what is that going to mean for the tech sector there? One of the things I talk about with human beings, with people, with geeks, is we're all kind of sort of the same, right? We have different backgrounds, we have different backstories and that type of thing. But at the end of the day, we are all very similar, right? If you take a look at geeks, most geeks are really interested in accomplishing whatever it is that they care about. So they are most interested in putting their resources wherever it is that will most likely allow them to succeed. So this is one of the things I've talked about with the United States. So in the United States right now, we are told that China is the enemy. We have been informed that China is the enemy. Why is China the enemy? They have not gotten around to telling us why they're the enemy, but we've just been informed that they are. And one of the curious things that's going on right now is that the demand for Chinese AI models is actually going up within the United States. So Open Router, a system for using different LLMs, is now showing up to 45% of American traffic is now getting routed to the Chinese LLMs. Why are American companies pushing their AI services over to Chinese companies when they are the enemy? Well, it's because it's like 5x cheaper, 10x cheaper. I mean, I know we're supposed to hate them and all, but they have a really good product at a really low price. And I have other things to worry about than whatever our president is currently scared, right? So right now, right, we see the antagonism between the United States and China. Much of the antagonism is actually created by the US government, but at the exact same time, our citizens are going over and using the Chinese tech, because that's how humans are. So one of the things to be thinking about, like when you look at the Israeli geeks, one of the things to be concerned about is at the end of the day, they're geeks, right? They're trying to accomplish whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. And so, it's nice that they're paid in the tax system and that allows the government to do the very curious things that the Israeli government is currently doing. But look, if it's gonna cost a lot more to hire Israelis, I mean, maybe it's time to start outsourcing to the United States. Or more interestingly, maybe it's time for Israeli companies to start outsourcing to Eastern Europe, right? Because they've only got so much money. Anyways, we take a look at this. Israeli tech developers have become more expensive than their US counterparts for the first time in many years, right? So Israeli developers are now more expensive. American developers are the budget option for Israeli companies. According to a new study by the Israeli Growth Forum lobby, raising fears that Israel's vaunted tech talent and innovation savvy will grow and set foot elsewhere. That's another thing to be thinking about, especially with a country like Israel. Many folks in Israel, right, are dual citizens. They have the ability to go somewhere else. And when you have geeks, they have the ability to go somewhere else. And you're like, hey, you know this project that you're working on? You could get so much farther, so much faster if you move over there. Right? Geeks have a nasty habit of then moving over there. Like loyalty and geeks, I talk about this. When you're running a technology business, when you're a leader of geeks, I talk about herding cats. Yeah, cats just don't have a lot of loyalty. You know what I'm saying? Like, you offer them a little bit more food, you offer them a little bit more affection. Who knows? Something over there looks a little bit more interesting than what you have. They have a nasty tendency to just kind of wander off. The cost of employing Israeli developers, such as software engineers and research and development workers, was found to be 8.2% higher than their equivalents in the US. So you think about it, so a $100,000 a year employee, again, that would be $108,000 a year, right? You start hiring many of those types of people, that can get expensive. The change in the cost of Israeli tech workers has been mainly attributed to the rapid appreciation of the shekel, which last month reached a 33-year high against the dollar and strengthened by some 20% year over year. And this is one of the reasons why I talk about politics. Eli, the computer guy, why are you talking about politics on a technology channel? There might, in fact, be a reason why I talk about this kind of stuff. Because that's the thing, right? If the Israeli shekel has appreciated the most in 33 years, that is going to affect the technology industry in Israel. So think about with Israel, right? Narratives and mythology and all of that kind of thing. One of the narratives, one of the core pieces of mythology for Israel right now is that they are the startup nation, right? I actually have a book. I got like halfway through it. Anyway, Israel, right? It was so propagandic. Oh, so propaganda. I just couldn't deal with it. Got halfway through. Anyways, it was Israel, the startup nation, right? And so if you look at Israel, there is a lot of push again in the technology world. Highly educated population, highly disciplined population, highly modern population, and so there's this push again for startup companies, that type of deal. But one of the problems we run into with narratives and mythology is with mythology we like to leave out a lot of facts, right? We look at this with the United States and our founding fathers who fought for freedom. If you ignore the black people. In order to talk about our founding fathers fighting for freedom, you have to ignore a lot of atrocities to get to that particular mythology. But it's a piece of mythology that we have in our country, right? With Startup Nation, with Israel, right? These are educated, hard-working visionaries that are building the future, right? Think about that. That's the person, the success of the person. That's the success of the society. That is the power of the Israeli mindset. But it also, it leaves out, the difference in the exchange rates for currencies. Because that's not so good for mythology. That's not so good for narrative. It's kind of hard to get behind. Yay, exchange rates, right? But again, as things shift, and think about this again, 33 years. This is one of the things to talk about with a younger generation of technology professionals, whether they're in the United States or whether they're in Israel. Right? In Israel, if they have had a particular exchange rate around a relative level for decades, that means you have adults that think this is completely normal. It's not just that it's normal, this is how the world should be. And then the world changes, and then they're like, what happened? I'm like, well, because the world changes. That's how it goes. Um, Over the past decade, Israeli engineers were typically 10 to 15% cheaper than their counterparts in America, giving Israel an advantage in growing its vaunted tech industry and talent. And this is something to think about, right? We hear about NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is a proud supporter of genocide. Jensen Huang wants you to know that Israel and NVIDIA, they are secured together with super glue. Jensen Huang really appreciates what Israel is currently doing in all of their military campaigns. But again, one of the things that kind of gets left out when you talk about, creating these campuses, creating these facilities, all of that kind of stuff in Israel is, hey, you can get a highly educated, highly trained population that is basically, at least as far as technology is concerned, basically on the same track that you're on, and you can get them for 10 to 15% less. What becomes interesting is what happens when Israeli engineers start to become a wee bit more expensive? Is Jensen Huang gonna have the loyalty to Israel when Israel gets to be a wee bit more expensive? I talked about this with Intel, right? Intel was going to put the largest investment in Israeli history into building fabs and all that kind of stuff in Israel, right? They were proud supporters of Israel. They're dumping lots and lots of money into Israel. Until they didn't. And to be clear, it had nothing to do with genocide. It had nothing to do with morals or ethics or any of that kind of stuff. Intel just kind of sort of imploded. Intel no longer had the ability to invest into Israel, and that is why that investment fell apart. Somebody to be thinking about, right? With startup nation, with a technology nation, what happens when investment into Israel, not morals, not ethics, not boycott, divest, and sanction, not we support Gaza, none of that. What happens when it simply becomes economically unfeasible? What happens when the math changes? Now there are fears that Israeli-founded companies may leave Israel. And again, think about this with a lot of Israelis. A lot of Israelis, dual passports, you can go somewhere else. And a lot of Israelis can come to the United States if they want to. The study showed that the cost of workers in Israeli tech firms, including developers and those in marketing and sales, was 2% higher than the cost of their U.S. counterparts. For comparison, as recently as May 2025, the salary of an Israeli tech worker was just 15% lower than what that worker would cost in the U.S. A geographical analysis, moreover, found that Israeli tech workers are 2.4 times more expensive than their counterparts in Poland, Lithuania, Romania, and Ukraine. The economy's dependence on the local tech sector has grown significantly in the past decade. That's driven a rapid growth in tax revenues from the sector, which in turn is led by an increase in the number of employees and their rising salaries. Tech employees, who account for 11% of the country's workforce, pay more than a third of all collected tax income, underpinning the vital importance of the sector as a key driver for Israel's war-hit economy. So yeah, it's gonna be curious to see how all this goes. And this is one of the interesting things that I find with the Buddhists. Like, what is good and what is bad at the end of the day, right? So Israel is going through these wars. They've been going through these wars for 2.5, closing in on 3 years now. And you would think their economy would be destroyed. And yet the value of the shekel is getting higher and higher and higher. So that shows you that Netanyahu knows what's going on. Except the value of the shekel is now so high, Israeli tech firms are now thinking about leaving Israel. Which, okay, well, if it's too high and they leave Israel, then that's kind of like spreading the Israeli diaspora out to the rest of the world. I mean, that should be fine. That should be fine enough, right? Except for the fact that, these Israeli tech companies pay so much in taxes into the government that if the money leaves the country, then there could be some bigger problems. Is the situation good? Is the situation bad? It's basically, where are you placed in the current situation? That's what really matters. I mean, think about it. Think about it. When the Titanic sank, there was competition to the Titanic. Every other ship that did the route from New York to England or whatever, I mean, it was a boon for them. Like the Titanic was there. Like, oh my golly, how are we going to compete with the Titanic? And then the Titanic sank, and they no longer had to compete with the Titanic. It was a good day for them. Bad day for everybody in the Titanic. Very good day for any company that was competing with the Titanic. It's sad, but it's how the world actually works. So, what do you think about this? What do you think about the whole strong shekel in the Israeli tech sector? How do you think this is going to go? I mean, think about this with the narrative and the mythology of what Israel is. Do you feel like a few facts may have been left out of that particular story? And as macro forces change, may cause some very significant issues there. Do you think the Israelis fully grasp, fully grasp how fragile a situation they might actually be in? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Would you take a job from from an Israeli if you know that Israel was outsourcing their tech jobs to the United States? Would you be like, no, I am too moral and too ethical to take a job from an Israeli engineer? I will not accept your job that you're going to give me because I am the lower cost alternative. Do you have the moral fortitude to do that? No, no, you don't. Don't even pretend you do. Anyways, if you like these episodes, do remember they're on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. Also, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.